Aloha mai nei kako o Tracy Keolalani ko inoa. Hi everybody, my name is Tracy Keolalani and welcome to our Papahana Puana or our pronunciation series for Olelo Hawaii, Hawaiian language. If this is your first vikio, your first video, and you are just being introduced to me, welcome, e komo mai. I am a singer, a songwriter, as well as a Hawaiian teacher. If you want a little bit more background about who I am, you can visit my website at tracykeolalani.com. Welcome to our Papahana Puana, our pronunciation series for the Hawaiian language. Now let's start with slide number ekahi, number 1, and that is our introduction slide. This vikio, number 1, is free for everybody because what I want you to do is get an idea of what this series is about, whether or not you want to continue on with the series. Let's get started with our first bullet point of our Papa Kumu Mana'o, our agenda. So, this is an introduction to Olelo Hawaii or Hawaiian language. And this is our Papahana Puana or our pronunciation series. Next point, no kiaha, which means why. Why take this series? This is going to help you, beginners as well as advanced alike, to give you more practice in pronunciation or speaking in Hawaiian as well as listening in Hawaiian. Because as you know, speaking and listening go together. All right? He aha ka vai. What's the value? So why take it? Like I said, get practice because we get good at things that we practice. It's also going to help you feel more confident in speaking Hawaiian, and it's also going to give you the confidence to sound like a native speaker. So have you ever heard someone speak your language, whatever your language is? So I speak English as well. Have you ever heard someone speak English and you knew they were not from your country, or you knew they were not local? You knew that they were a foreigner or haole based on the way that they were speaking. Maybe they had a thick accent, or they didn't pronounce the words the way that it is normally pronounced or that you normally are used to. Well, I'm not teasing or making fun. I'm just pointing out that in this series, we want to be able to sound like a native speaker or someone that has a good grasp of that language, right? So that's the value. The next point is nawai keia. Who is this for? Who is this series for? And this series is for those who need practice with voela or vowel sounds. It's also for those who need practice with pronunciation, like I mentioned earlier. And it is for those who are learning the language, Hawaiian language, but it's also for those who are learning languages that use the straight vowel sound, meaning a, e, I, o, u sounds. So this is primarily for those of you who are learning Hawaiian, but you can also use it for practice with other languages that use straight vowel sounds. For instance, Spanish and Japanese and others that use straight vowel sounds. A, e, I, o, u. Let's go through our next bullet point. Explanation of pi'apa. What is pi'apa? So pi'apa is the Hawaiian alphabet. We're going to go through the 13 umikumakolu leka or letters in the Hawaiian alphabet. Next bullet point, o. Why do I have to write? You ask me, why do I have to write? Because writing helps solidify those things, not only in your mind, but it helps you listen better and it helps you in here to help you with that confidence. Again, I'm going to help you get confidence in Hawaiian language, listening and speaking. And writing is an integral part of that. So this is kapi'apa. Let's go through kapi'apa, the Hawaiian alphabets. So what I want you to do in this section is to write down your sound interpretation, meaning what do the letters sound like to you? E ho'olohe oe a kakao. Listen and write. So first letter in English is e. In Hawaiian, it's a. E kakao oe. What does a sound like to you? Write it down. Next leka is e. In English, that letter is E, but in Hawaiian, that letter, leka, is E. E kakau oi. Maikai. Next letter is, in English, I, but in Hawaiian, that leka is E. E kakau E. What does E sound like to you? E kakau oi. Write it down. Next letter in English is O. In Hawaiian, that leka is O. E kakau O. Maikai. And the last vowel, voela, in English is U. In Hawaiian, it's U. E kakau oi. He aha. U. What does U sound like to you? E kakau oi. Now let's go through the consonants. Koneka. First consonant in English is H. In Hawaiian, it's he. What does he sound like to you? E kakau oi. Next is ke. In English, that's a ke. In Hawaiian, it also is ke. What does ke sound like to you? E kakau oi. Next in English is L. In Hawaiian, that letter is la. La. E kakau oi. Next letter in English is M. In Hawaiian, it's mu. What does mu sound like to you? E kakau oi. Next in English is N. In Hawaiian, that letter or that leka is nu. What does nu sound like to you? E kakau oi. Next in English is P. In Hawaiian, that leka is also P. What does P sound like to you? E kakau oi. Next is ve, I ole, we. In English, it's a W. What does ve or we sound like to you? Pick one. You can say it either way. E kakau oi. And last is the Okina. You notice that there's no place for you to write for the Okina, and I'm going to explain what the Okina is. It is a letter in the Hawaiian alphabet, kapi'apa, and the Okina is a glottal stop. But to me, it looks like mini number 6 with the hole filled in. So the Okina's purpose is to emphasize a voela or a vowel sound at the beginning of a word. And the Okina's purpose also is to break up the vowel sounds in a word. So for example, in the word o'o, without the Okina in between the two O's, it would be o. But with the Okina, it's o'o. Maupopo, you understand? Maikai. We'll go through that more in detail in our upcoming lessons, our ha'awina. So the last point, u, is that the kahako, or the makrin, is not a letter. You'll see the kahako over vowels, and it's a long line that appears over the vowels a, e, I, o, and u. And the purpose of the kahako is to elongate or to make the vowel sound longer or put a stress on it. An example would be in the word kupuna, meaning elder, as well as kupuna, or elders, grandparents, old people. Yes? So kupuna and kupuna. Do you hear the difference between those two? If you need more practice, you can check out my YouTube channel. I have a lesson that I talk about kupuna and kupuna and go through those sounds for practice. Maikai. So practice, go back. If you need to rewatch this video, go ahead and do so. And I'll see you in ha'awina or lesson number 2. Elua. Ahui ho.